Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I love me a nice fun story for the morning. Hope you guys are all doing well. Grab your coffee, grab your water. Welcome back to more esports talk. Today, yet again, we're talking about Red Reserve. We have talked about them so much in the past, and this story is going to be a very interesting one. Super curious, as always, what you guys think about this. As Red Reserve, it's official, will be relaunching this year in 2020, starting off in PUBG Mobile with brand new management. And we have seen this, boy, we've seen this time before in esports. We've talked a lot about Red Reserve and their past issues as well. I myself, I had the pleasure to interview the past management who have now moved on to a new esports organization known as Orbitgg. I had an interview as well with all of them and kind of talked about how, no one really knows who owes the former players all of that money, right? Allegedly right now, I think it's upwards of a couple $100,000 actually owed to former players from a variety of esports out there. I believe a half dozen or so players at the very least are still owed that money, and so that new management is now gone to Orbitgg, and well, the new management for Red Reserve is now here as well, and they're not going to be paying the players. For anyone curious, they have now clarified. I will link a great Q&A brought to us by Adam Fitch with their brand new CEO. That will be linked down below, guys. I'm only going to share a few of his answers, but for the top one, no, the new Red Reserve management, as they do relaunch, and their new Twitter going to be Red Reserve 2020, they will not be paying the old players because they feel that the old board members and the old members and management actually owe those players, not them, which albeit is a pretty fair assessment, I will say, but it makes you question because yes, they have actually purchased the rights to Red Reserve to relaunch the entire brand, and that is it. When it comes time for social media, we covered this. You remember, guys, Nordavind purchased all the former Red Reserve social media, mainly the YouTube and the Twitter, and so when Red Reserve now is relaunching underneath new management, they're going to be just the brand. They have purchased just the brand, no social media, no following, because as they have stated in their own statement, I'm going to read it off for you guys. Apparently, Red Reserve is one of the most notorious esports brands ever. As they state, Red Reserve, one of the most famous esports brands in the world, has relaunched under a completely new company and management. With a focus initially on mobile gaming and specifically PUBG Mobile, Red Reserve aims to expand into all areas of esports. Red Reserve acquired Relentless Esports Ltd. And their management team. Red Reserve has had its fair share of success and failure in its past, but now under a new management team, it aims once again to become a global esports team. Red Reserve is such a well-known brand, and it's our desire to reestablish this brand and make it great again, said Kim Alden, the new CEO. And maybe, yes, certainly, maybe at one point in time you were a well-known brand. I wouldn't say one of the most famous brands in esports. And when you say you've had your fair share of success but also failure, yes, the brand itself has had a lot of failure. And again, I'm trying to come from a fair place here. I'm also trying to understand, though, at what point does it cross your mind that let's purchase a brand that has screwed over a lot of players in esports, and let's not pay those players back, which again, it's not their responsibility. I do agree with them, but if you're going to purchase the Red Reserve name, you got to understand the connotation that comes with it, and it's absolute scum, right? It's players not being paid, it's players being mistreated, and those issues were never resolved. And the weirdest part is you are buying the Red Reserve brand on its own, its name. That is it. No social media, no following, no viewer base, no player base comes along with that. You are buying what you call one of the most famous, I call one of the most infamous names in esports, with how many players have been screwed over by this single name. You now purchase it and expect it to be a fresh start. I don't see how this one's going to go down. And we actually have history, maybe possibly repeating itself, if you guys do remember this. I find this so funny. I was actually on my desktop searching through my old files the other day, and I found one for all of you. This is actually another very, very scummy esports organization, which, by the way, also tried to come back under new ownership. That new ownership also promised to pay the players and the old debt that was accrued. Unfortunately enough, did not really work out too well. Here is, by the way, the new CEO of Denial, which eventually still crashed and burned. So yeah, it's a very, very similar situation where we have Red Reserve. The former management screwed a lot of players. Now someone is kind of trying to bring back the brand and buy it back and, make it all right. Just like Denial, their former management had not paid players. Their new management came in and actually promised to pay those players, and it still didn't work out. They still didn't pay those players. And here is the guy who tried that with Denial. I'm sure you guys might remember him.
V2, all the nerds are mad that I said I didn't it as a connotation negative for gays. I said it because he was being It's the same as being a bitch. My son's gay. My sister's gay. I'm pretty sure I'm gay. So I'm not knocking that community. If anyone has a problem with that at any organization, they can talk to me personally. Other than that, that little H1Z1 prick took my money, didn't hold up his end of the deal, and is now calling me fake. Hence him being a He's a bitch, and he knows it. I will see him at TwitchCon, and I'll shake my hand, and I'll double his net worth again. Anyone else has an issue, you guys know my ass.
And again, I'm not trying to trash the new Red Reserve. I understand it's new management, but they also got to understand there's going to be flack for this. There are still at least half a dozen players out there that still got screwed over, and then you come in and say, hey, we're going to buy this brand, and it'll all be fine. We're not going to pay the players, by the way, which, again, I understand, but there's going to be backlash no matter what. It's like, you know, maybe I should or should not be saying this. My camera guy. And again, this is super bold, okay? So just take me very lightly here. Let's say the brand out there that you wanted to buy was Adolf Hitler, and you wanted to bring it back as a brand new Adolf, right? But despite the god-awful things that the former had done, you want to buy the name because people knew it, because it was popular. That's kind of, again, it's a very, very bold assumption to make here, a very, very, very bold comparison as well, but you buy back a name that has done so many wrong things because it's popular, thinking people will think differently of it. Just because I buy Adolf doesn't mean people are going to forget the connotation they see of him, right? Just because I'm trying to be different, you're going to have to make some extreme strives in the industry to make people forget what the old you had done. And I hope that's a fair comparison. It might be a bit bold, a bit of a jump out there as well. I probably could have used a different one instead of that. But you understand where I'm coming from, right? You are buying back a brand that has done so many terrible things, not correcting those terrible things, and you can't expect people to forget all the terrible things that were still done. Red Reserve is now relaunching, guys, under new management, much like Denial did as well. It did not work out with Denial. I'm going to make the bold future assumption it will not work out here with Red Reserve. Despite all of that, I do wish them the best of luck. I do wish that, you know, going forward, they actually pay all of their players, which shouldn't be too hard. They only have a PUBG mobile roster. They do plan to expand to other esports in the future, and we'll see how that comes when it gets here. What do you guys think about this? I'm trying not to be angry about it, okay? I really do wish them the best of luck, but I hope they understand where I'm coming from as well. When you cover so many terrible stories about an individual brand, it's tough to look at it differently, even though it's new people running it. Until next time, hope you guys all enjoy it. Drink your coffee, drink your water. I'll be back here all day long.